Hello everyone, how's it going? It's your boy Skilled Fawn, and we're back doing another challenge run. This challenge run, we're going to be doing Need for Speed, Carbon stock cars only. So let's jump straight on into the rules. So as I mentioned, we're going to be doing stock cars only. That means I can't upgrade them at all. Like engine part upgrades, tires, no performance tuning. And I must defeat all the bosses in the game. There's there's 4 bosses. Uh, Carbon is a lot quicker than Most Wanted, that's for sure. Um, which I wish Carbon was a bit longer, but I think it's a pretty good length if just trying to play a game quickly. And yeah, any secondary racer is okay. One unique thing about Carbon is you can have like a buddy help you in the race, and there's like multiple types, and I need to complete enough races to gain access to the bosses, but I don't have to complete every race in the game, because you need to just beat uh, 2 out of the 3 for the zone, and then you gain access, or you control that area, and then yeah, beat the game. So let's jump straight on into it. And while this is playing in the background, I'll give you guys the Spark Notes version of what happens. So like basically we were in the underground scene and we busted out of that, went to the Need for Speed Most Wanted world, is Rockport, and we basically got a ton of bounty there. But then we find out here that this is like the prequel to Most Wanted. That's the reason why we like went to the city, was because we were running from the cops and what happened here. And yeah, something happened with this red bag with all the money in it. Someone took it. But yeah, we're gonna just jump straight on into it. So yeah, we are at Carbon Canyon now, and we have the legendary M3 GTR, and we're gonna have a familiar face from Most Wanted show up. Cross. He was the sergeant in charge to take us down, and we're gonna meet a few other people along the way, like Darius and Nikki, and they're gonna show us the ropes. And so yeah, now we are able to choose a car, and we're gonna choose the RX-8. I'm I love tuners, but I would go for the sports car second. And yeah, we're gonna do a bunch of races. I'm not gonna show every single race because there is a ton. Even though I am like doing only like 2/3 of the races, it's still quite a lot. And as we keep progressing, we're gonna unlock characters, the secondary racers to help us. Uh, we're gonna get Sal right now. He's such a funny guy, and the way they introduce him, they make fun of Neville, the other guy. Um, but yeah, and like as you keep progressing too, you're gonna get better cars. So we're gonna get the Eclipse GT, and yeah, we're also gonna have some of the bad guys try and get in our way. So this is Kenji, first guy. And yeah, we're gonna race him, take him out with that RX-7. Pretty clean looking. But yeah, pretty funny. In the like one of the final races, you have to fight or like race all the bosses that you previously fought before the final. And yeah, Kenji is definitely has like the weakest car out of all the other bosses, which makes sense. He is the first zone. And yeah, I got so far ahead, I was like, all right, we're just gonna back up into the finish line. And yeah, Need for Speed Most Wanted, I mean, both these games have really cool things and bad things. One thing I like about Most Wanted is there's like 2 to 5 races for the opponents, which, you know, it definitely can make it feel a bit like stretched out the time. But there's just so many different races. It could be a speed trap, you know, it could be a drag race, whatever. uh, but in Carbon it's usually just like a simple race and then one of these canyon runs, and the canyon runs are definitely the highlight of the game. uh, but the thing is I I mean, I haven't played a lot of racing games recently, just because it's not really my focus on this channel. But I previously played Most Wanted stock cars, and yeah, the difference between Most Wanted and this, even though they're like not terribly far apart in like the time they release, is, you know, they have very different handling, I would say. I think like drifting wise, this game has a lot better. And you know, when you go around corners, especially if you're gunning it and you're like holding it, you will feel the car steer outwards, which is realistic. um but it's a lot different than Most Wanted. Most Wanted is a lot more arcadey, so that makes sense. And yeah, to further explain this race, there's you have like the normal sprint race, and then you have the canyon run. The canyon run consists of 2 events. One where the boss is leading, and then you have to follow and gain points. And then the next race is you're in front and the boss is behind. If you run out of points, then you lose. You are able to do 2 races instead of 3 if you actually beat him in that first canyon run event. You can either pass him or like knock him off. uh, but I haven't had too many bosses fall off the map. Here we're gonna get the next car and head into the next zone, which is Wolf's Zone. Got that pretty clean Aston Martin. But yeah, that's definitely one thing I like, but dislike is just how cheesy and corny some of the bosses are. I definitely feel like Most Wanted was a bit better in that regard. These guys just have like crazy one-liners and then they just dip. They are gonna be drifting. Especially the canyon drifts are some of the most insane. Like you have to have insane reaction time. If not, you will lose just all your points. Yeah, head on into Wolf's boss fight. We're gonna take the Elise, which is, it may not be the best idea. The Elise, at least in Most Wanted, I probably got similar stats in this too, but I'm very familiar with the Most Wanted stats. It has very low top speed, but I'd say like decent acceleration and high handling. But yeah, you can have a ton of handling, and if your car just does not have that horsepower, it's not really gonna help all that much. But just like Kenji, Wolf just decides to hang very far back, gives me a very easy time. And yeah, we're gonna head on into the canyon event. That's one thing though that will be good about this car, is it has a lot higher handling than my other cars. No Wolf trying to get a cheap head start on me, but it doesn't really matter. Uh, and yeah, each of the canyon runs is slightly different. Uh, but you know, it's the same for that boss, so you can memorize them and get used to it. What I ended up doing for the final boss. And yeah, I would definitely say Wolf and Kenji are just super easy to pass compared to the other ones. Um, but I mean, like, still, you can they can just still zoom on ahead. They can rubber band like crazy. That's definitely one cool thing about racing games is it's I mean, the difficulty isn't stagnant. Uh, it's like always, in flux. So like if you're absolutely creaming the enemy, they're just gonna go like 700 miles per hour, zooming, gripping the corners at like I don't know, insane grip. But yeah, similar to like the first race, if you do get so far ahead, you actually can just beat the opponent and not have to complete the rest of the race. And I mean, we are pretty close to the end, but I mean, quite nice to always be able to do something like that. And yeah, we get another boss down. The Sith win. Emperor Palpatine would be pleased. And yeah, another zone conquered. We got 2 out of the 4. That's one thing I really wish Carbon like had, some more content to it. Like base game. I'm sure like mods and stuff like that, help it to extend the runtime, but like I don't know, Most Wanted, I mean, like it takes at least I don't know, at least for me it takes more than like 10 hours, but then like this it probably took like less than 10. One thing I should have put up on this challenge run was a timer. That's one thing I've been doing again, is putting a timer. I know some of you guys like that. Uh, Let me know what your thoughts are on the timer. If you'd like me to include it more, less. I think it's a pretty good, or it's just like another indication of like how much time has passed, and it's like more accurate than just like watching the game. Because I've edited a bunch, so you don't really know how much time has passed. But yeah, you can see that Angie absolutely rubber bands at the beginning and whips, but we are able to get her first race pretty easily. Nothing too challenging. But yeah, this is the point where I just started having so much trouble with this game. Was well, I mean after Angie, it's mostly the final boss. The final boss just has an insane race. Uh, but this is like also the point where the enemy cars are like pretty souped up. But in most of the normal races, you can get by just because you have like Nikki with a 4GT or Sal, Giga Chad Sal. But yeah, we're gonna keep on pressing. Usually, well, depending on like I don't know where I'm at in the race, like certain corners, I'm just gonna hug the wall. But, not hug it like that much because I'm gonna fall off and But yeah, there's some really good points. One thing I noticed is her car just doesn't have as much or as high top speed as mine, especially when going down the mountain. So I'm able to take full advantage of that and pass her. And yeah, we're gonna get another boss defeated. And yeah, we're in the end game part now. And yeah, Darius is the final boss. He was the one that took the bag from us and, basically, caused all this mayhem for us. He got rich while, we had to run away. So, Sergeant Cross is gonna take us down, the bounty hunter. Yeah, Cross is, he's not gonna give us up. He's gonna be nice. He just wants his money, that's all. So, yeah, we're gonna keep on progressing. I'm kind of curious to hear what you guys would like more. Would you guys rather have a Most Wanted 2 that was I mean, we do have a Most Wanted too, but that was actually like a reflection of the original. I I hate 2012. Uh, that Need for Speed. The only thing I have like somewhat fond memories about it is it just had like a decent music selection, but I mean that's really not that high. But we got arguably the best car in the game now, the Lambo. It has like the highest base handling. It has, pretty good, top speed and acceleration. There's definitely a few other cars stock that are like better, in one category, like such, acceleration or top speed. And that is like one thing I kind of found out the hard way was I did his race so many times that, and like I did it with Lambo too, and I was just struggling so much. It is very good and it has that handling. But you'll see what I mean for the final boss, or the final race for the final boss. Um, but yeah, we're gonna get his first race down and head on into the challenging part. And I'm not gonna lie, this part at least took me an hour, if not an hour and a half, of just restarting over and over. And you might be like, "Oh, skilled fun, why is that?" Well, because I would do the race like fully through, and by the second race when I'm in the lead, like he would just basically straight up catch me and then just absolutely demolish my points. Because this track is very like it's very curvy and like this car does have good handling, but is just too fast. So I figured let's try and find a better strategy. And one that I came up with, I guess accidentally, was trying to get in front of him just from the straight or the beginning turn. And I did make slow progress, very, very slow progress. But eventually we got the run for about an hour. You have to manage it perfectly. You have to accelerate, and then right as you pass him, you have to brake. Otherwise, he will just like knock you to the side. And yeah, within like the first 20 seconds of that race, we take him down. And yeah, that is Need for Speed Carbon, stock cars only. And yeah, it definitely wasn't the most challenging, but at the end, there was a massive skill jump. And Darius definitely definitely is a good racer. Definitely made me work for it. And you're gonna I guess he's going now to Rockport. We're gonna trade places. But yeah, I really wish there was a Need for Speed Most Wanted to imagine they brought like Razor and like a bunch of the other bosses from like the previous Need for Speed games. Like, oh my gosh, that would be insanely cool. Like they like all came together just to take care of you. I don't know what they would do. Maybe they would do like a blacklist again. I mean, this is all hypothetical and probably like 99.99% never gonna happen, but it's always fun to think about if it ever did. Like Marvel's What If. And yeah, I mean, it would be sick to have like Razor, Darius. I mean, actually, I didn't mind Need for Speed 2015. I think it's just called Need for Speed. That was when, I mean, they did get the handling a bit wrong, in my opinion, especially for drift events. It was a bit like unbearable, but I don't know, like the whole style of the game, stuff like that was just like nice to see it take a different turn from, Most Wanted 2012, the Shift games. I was not a big fan. I know a lot of people are they really like Pro Street, and I definitely liked it, but it was, I don't know, I would say in my opinion is mediocre. At least like I was not the target for that. I'm more so like an arcadey racer guy. Like I started off with Burnout 2 when I was like 5 years old playing with my dad. So those are the types of games that I like more than the realistic ones, I guess you could say. Even though realistic is a pretty strong term, doesn't really equate that much anymore. But yeah, I greatly appreciate you guys coming, watching the video. You know, this is something I don't typically do on this channel. But you know, I like to expand my horizons, and you know, it's also just, I mean, this wasn't the most challenging, but you'll see in the next car challenge that will be coming out very shortly, the Nuzlocke Most Wanted. That was arguably one of the most challenging runs I've ever done. It absolutely broke me, especially at the end. You'll see. So thank you guys again. Stay safe. Do something kind for someone today. You can. And yeah, skilled fun out.